Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and we're taking a look at a blast from the past, which is Turner and Hooch. Now, you don't really have to love dogs, you don't really have to like dogs even, but I think you really enjoy this film. For the most part, it's a comedy, except for the ending. It's very touching, and I'll tell you, you'll know why when I'm talking about here. Talking about the plot line, basically. Now, this is a movie which reminds me so much of my childhood. I think I watched it when I was 13 or 14. 1989, I was 13, so I think I may have watched it in 2000 and in 2000. I wish, in 1990, I guess. When I was 14 years old, me and my sister watched it. We really liked it a lot. Second time I actually watched it was probably sometime around 2011, and then now. So three times I've watched this movie, and each time, I'm really touched by the ending. So let's talk about the movie. Basically, Tom Hanks plays. Oh, sorry. Before I say that, the movie also stars Mare Winningham. I've seen her in a couple of movies. I don't really know too much about her. Craig T. Nelson and Reginald Vale Johnson. I don't know who that is, but I can't remember the actor, if I've seen the actor in anything else. Oh yeah, he was in Die Hard and Die Hard 2. Sorry, it's the same actor. Forgot about that. Anyway, this movie is basically set in a town or a city called Cypress Beach in California, and we have Tom Hanks playing Scott Turner, police investigator who's actually leaving for Sacramento. He's actually bored with life on this in this town, so he wants to go on to bigger and better things. And it's like the last few days of him being in Cypress Beach, when a friend of his, an acquaintance of his by the name of what's his name? Amos Reed. So he's like a old retired man who has his big dog, which is the dog, his breed is called the Dog de Bordeaux, and in French, and it's like this ugly mix of Mastiff, Bulldog, and all that stuff with these big jaws, and he drools. Ugh, disgusting. The ugliest son of a bitch you have ever seen in your life, and that's one of the funniest things. So most people are actually afraid of this dog, including Scott Turner. However, Amos actually gets to know a little bit about, like, he lives across the a seafood magnate's what do you call it, factory or plant or something like that, and he gets to know that there's some illegal dealings going on. It's run by the seafood magnate called Walter Boyer, so he's actually killed and the dog survives. So the dog actually knows who killed his master, but of course he can't talk. So the next day, Scott is actually called to the scene of the crime because he knows the person, and he is in charge of the investigation. And he now basically has to take care of Hooch, which is the dog. So unfortunately, Hooch doesn't take kindly to, like, it's very difficult to get the dog to sit, to get the walk, and he is huge. So there's all these funny scenes of Tom Hanks basically trying to, take him in his car, and it's absolutely hilarious. A lot of funny stuff in this movie, and of course the dog will eventually rip apart and destroy his house. In the time that it takes Tom Hanks to actually go get some groceries and some food for the dog, and he always throws the dog out, but unfortunately Hooch managed to outsmart him many times. He also tries to pawn off Hooch to Emily, who's a veterinary doctor. She's got a poodle, doesn't she? A female dog called Camille, and Hooch basically falls in love with the female dog, and they end up bumping uglies. And Tom Hanks and Emily become romantically involved as well. So there's that angle. Initially he tries to pawn her off, but he slowly starts to bond with Hooch. Especially Hooch is very kind of depressed because his master is he's missing his master. And that's slowly when Tom Hanks understands you really miss him, right? And I remember those scenes with, like, the things that actually stood out. Even when I was 14 years old at the time, and I remember when I was 14 years old, I really wanted a dog, and I had to wait for another 4 years to actually get my my baby, my precious, um, my golden retriever Shawnee, who's like the most beautiful dog in the world. And of course, everybody says that about their dogs, right? But yeah, for me, she was definitely was my best friend. Um, and there's never a day that goes by that I do not miss my dog. I think about her every day. Think about her being over here. Anyway, we're talking about Hooch. So finally, there's a lot of things, of course, that does happen. But Scott Turner is able to find out that, I think it's the police chief, played by Craig D. Nelson, Chief Howard Hyde. He's actually the main mastermind, and the fishing magnate, what's his name? Yikes, already missed the name. Walter Boy is actually working for him, and towards the end, at the factory, they're able to actually get the guy who actually killed Amos, and Hooch basically has him by the throat. Was it the throat or the groin? I think it's the throat or something. And yeah, so what do you call it? They get him and they try to use him as bait to get the real masterminds behind it, and it turns out to be Craig T. Nelson's character, the chief of police. And then they are Scott is basically held at gunpoint. Hooch is shot for dead, but he doesn't die. He uses the last bit of energy that he has to actually, and that scene is, oh my goodness, even watching it back then, I was like, my goodness, this dog is going to make me cry. And yes, I did cry the first time. I did cry the second time as well. This time I managed to, I did cry actually a little bit. So that scene of him, the wounded dog, basically using whatever left energy that's left in him to go and distract Hyde, so that Scott Turner can take the upper hand and basically kill him. And then he rushes the dying dog to Emily to try and save him, but it's too late, and he starts crying. And yeah, but he ends up staying. He ends up staying in Cypress Beach, becomes the new chief, and his friend, the other policeman, becomes the chief investigator. What's his character's name over there? David Sutton. That's the name of the actor's character. And he and Emily basically marry. So we set the scene a little bit later, and he comes home, and the house is a mess. Emily is pregnant, and you've got, Camille has got puppies. Three girls who look like her, and the one that has been destroying the house is the puppy that looks just like Hooch. And oh yeah, because throughout the movie, Scott tells Hooch, "This is this room, this thing, this is not your room," and all that. And then he comes up and he sees that the house is completely destroyed, even up to his bedroom. He opens up and there's little Hooch. I don't know what the puppy's name is. It just looks exactly like him. And he tells it, "This is not your room." That's when the movie ends. Really fun family movie. You can really watch and enjoy it with your kids. Your spouse can sit together along with a bunch of kids. Maybe add in grandma and grandpa as well. It's actually a very fun movie to watch. It's a movie for all time. And apparently, I remember reading a while back that Tom Hanks had actually said he hadn't watched this movie since it came out. And when he watched it all that years later, he started bawling when the dog died. So, if it makes Tom Hanks cry. Must be a special movie. The movie is made on a budget of $13 million, and it made $71.1 million at the box office. Of course, this was back in 1989. But do watch it. Fun movie. Have it in my collection. Enjoy it. See you guys. Have a good night. Bye-bye.